All right. Great.
Should be good to go.
Perfect. Noreen, are you there this evening? Let's see. Yeah.
I see her.
I am
How are you tonight, Noreen?
very good. How are you?
Good. Do you mind doing a roll call possibly?
Not at all. Commissioner
you.
Becker,
Here.
Commissioner Connolly.
How are you tonight, Noreen?
Very good. How are you?
Good. Do you mind doing a roll call possibly?
Oh. Not at all.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Becker,
Here.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Ekstrom, Commissioner Hutvager.
He's not on the committee anymore. Unless
Oh,
he's
Oh, okay.
in different.
All right. Commissioner Karanian.
He had a family emergency. He's been excused.
Okay. Chairman Payne,
He's present.
Commissioner Bashand,
Here.
Commissioner Dunning. Commissioner Karanian. And Commissioner Agelski.
She's been excused as well. She had contacted me last.
Okay,
Thank you, Noreen.
you're welcome.
Eric, is there anything we can do about the way we're listening to it? Because we hear after the fact. She had contacted me last.
Somebody's got it turned, another device turned way up. That's what we're,
Is there anything we can do about the way we're listening to it? Because we hear after the fact.
right, somebody else that has another device turned all the way up. And it's getting feedback.
Okay. So before we do the elections of officers, it looks like there's going to be only 4 seated members that are going to be voting this evening. So I think it's Robert Ludgen, that's the applicant, correct? That's with us this evening, Eric?
You're muted, Eric.
Can
Yes,
you
it
hear me
is,
now?
Ludgen.
Hi, Robert, how are you?
I'm
So-
hoping you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
That's odd. When it was on unmuted, you couldn't hear me, so I put it on mute. Now you can hear me. As long as it works, that's fine.
Hi, Robert, how are you?
I'm hoping you can hear me. Can you hear me?
So we only have 4 seated members this evening. So how it would work is you do have an option. Since there's only 4 members seated, you do need to have 4 votes yes to approve the variance. If there were 5 members, you can have 1 no. And you do have the option to wait until we do have 5 members to attend to be able to hear your variance if you are not okay with making sure that all 4 of us need to vote yes. So if you want to take a minute to think about that while we do the elections of officers before we start the application and the petition at hand. Okay. Do you want to do, Eric, do you want to do the election of officers?
I believe that's the next item on the agenda, correct?
All right. So we'll do an election of first the chairman. If anyone has any. You want to do, Eric, do you want to do the election of officers? If anyone has any one that they would like to call out to have as the chairman.
I
we can vote.
nominate Nicole.
First the chairman, if anyone has. Is that John?
That's
Is that
John
you?
Bashan, yeah.
Thank you, John.
I'll
Is
second
there-
that.
Second that, and Bill?
Yep, I second that.
All right, then we'll do an all in favor. Mike, you would have to be the only one that would say yes because the other two voted for it.
Yes, all in favor.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you guys very much.
I second that.
Do we have any interest, even though it's just the four of us, to do a vice chair, just in case if I am not here? Voted for it.
Yes, all in favor.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Okay, can we table that, Eric? And for vice chair, when we have more members here, so that we can see if everyone is on board with that? Because we've never had one before.
Yeah, that's fine, Nicole. One other thing
Okay.
I'm gonna do, if I can, I'm gonna stop the recording for a minute.
And for vice chair, when we
Yes,
have more members. here,
Yes,
so that we can
you can
see if
table it.
Everyone is on board with that, because we've never had one before.
Correct. That's fine, Nicole. One other thing
Okay.
I'm gonna do, if I can, I'm gonna stop the recording for a minute. Yes, you can table it. So I'm just gonna pause the recording right now, everyone, for a minute, see if I can fix this, audio issue.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna pause the recording right now, everyone, for a minute, see if I can fix this, audio issue.
Hopefully we fix this.
Perhaps, James is gonna chime in as well, perhaps. And see,
Okay.
so if we just kind of everybody hang out and, I'm just gonna mute everybody and we'll see what we can do. James is gonna chime in as well.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience. I'm just gonna mute everybody and we'll see what we can do.
Eric, you have a screen open on your computer. You need to shut down the Zoom window. You're getting the repeat from that. Oh, you're on mute.
Yep.
That's
Okay,
where your feedback was.
sorry about that. I apologize, everyone. So we should be good to continue.
Perfect.
Do you want to explain that again in a less crazy audio environment, Nicole, for the applicant?
Yes, I sure can.
Thank you.
So since we only have 4 members that are seated right now, you do have the option to wait until we do have 5 members to attend to do the vote. If you choose tonight to go ahead with this, you will need 4 votes in the yes to approve your variance. If we do have 5, if one person says no and the others say yes, then you definitely get the variance. But all 4 would have to vote yes to approve the variance for this evening because we only have 4 seated. So you do have the option to be able to postpone to another meeting if you would like.
He has a minute to think about that. If
Okay.
you want to review the, I think the next item on the agenda, because
Is the seatings?
it-
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
yes, we
Yep,
can,
we can
Mr.
hear-
Ludgen.
Once again, by hitting the mute, you can hear me. When it's on unmute, you can't hear me. Anyhow, what I said was, we will waive that option and we would decline it, and we would prefer to go forward tonight.
Okay, that's great. All right. So let's,
We
go
have the
ahead.
meeting dates on the agenda now, Nicole.
Yep, perfect. So did everyone get the potential meeting dates for the 2022 meetings? It's not tentative. It's only if we do have a petition. So this isn't in every month unless there is.
John Bachon here. I did not see them, but I'm sure they're usually easy to work around.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're the ones we're gonna schedule, and like Nicole said, if, you know, we may not have, obviously, I think we've met 4 times this year or 5. So, and we can use special meeting dates as well if necessary, if we have some conflicts or something really pressing. So this is really kind of a formality. They get filed with the clerk's office so he can post them for next year.
Perfect. I'll make a motion to approve the potential meeting dates of 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Seems to be approved. Go ahead with that, Mike, Eric, if that's,
Good,
if you
thank you.
could. So before we begin, let me explain a little bit about how the ZBA usually is run. There's usually two parts to the meeting. The first is a public session in which the petitioner will begin by stating their name and address and explain their petition and what their hardship is. After the petition has been heard, anyone from the public may speak and express whether they are for or against the petition. After all public participation and the public session of the meeting will be closed. During the work session, the public may stay but cannot comment. If the petitioner does stay during the work session, that is fine. If not, they can call the building department in the morning and they will let you know what the decision is. Noreen, do you mind reading the petition, please?
I can also read it if she's.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Eric.
Yep. Petition 002106, Robert Ludgen is seeking a variance for the property at 249 Day Street from section 7.4.19B to allow a fence height of 6 feet in the front yard setback where currently 4 feet is allowed.
Thank you. Mr. Ludgen, would you like to start off and just state your name, address, and everything and go from there?
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Honorable board members, my name is Robert F. Ludgen, and I'm a lawyer with my office here at 330 Main Street in Hartford. And I'm accompanied by my client, Peter Mirabelli III, who is the owner of the LLC that owns the lot about which we are asking for the variance at 249 Day Street, and the name of the company is 249 Day Street LLC. He also is the owner of a business across the street on the west side of Day Street, where he operates a business known as Mirabelli Automotive LLC, where they do a lot of truck repairs. And the purpose of the request is to allow him to have 6-foot high fence all around the building, all around the lot. And because it's a corner lot, it by definition, it has 2 front sides and 2 back sides as opposed to 3. So according to the way the regs work now, he can go to 6 feet on the 2 rear sides, but he's limited to 4 feet on the 2 front sides. One side fronts on Day Street, one side fronts to the south on Francis Avenue. And as is explained in the letter attached to the application, the goal is to be able to park as many as 50 utility repair trucks for Eversource. And the traffic from there would be quite minimal, as the letter from the road engineer indicates, because most of the time those trucks are going to be parked there all the time, just waiting for some time when they're needed after some storm that has done damage to the power lines. And the new idea to make it for faster response is to have the trucks and have the repairmen fly in here without driving the trucks from far away. And so the only time that there'd be traffic would be when the trucks are going or coming from repair activity, and also going across the street to the Mirabelli Automotive place, because they will be in charge of servicing and repairing those vehicles. And there's a stack of letters, some 6 or 8 letters that you have that were left at the engineering department from the neighbors. And I believe there's one signed by every nearby neighbor on both Day Street and on Francis Avenue, each one indicating no objection to the request, and in fact indicating their support for our request. And one last thing to zero in on is, according to the zoning law, there's supposed to be a specific set of circumstances that would make this a particular hardship. And as I described in the letter, those specific circumstances are basically the facts as I explained, namely that the trucks would be stored there, but they need to be repaired, or they're going to be repaired and serviced across the street. And Eversource has made it clear that they're nervous about the high expense for those trucks. Each one is worth a lot of money. And for that reason, they want to have fencing all around that would be high enough to discourage anybody from jumping the fence to do any damage to the trucks, or to just get in there and cause some kind of trouble. So I think that pretty much explains the situation.
Thank you, Robert. Just really quickly, I just wanted to notice that Sharon is here. Thank you, Sharon, for attending this evening. So we do have 5 members now seated for this
Sorry, I was
evening's
having
vote.
technical difficulties.
That's
trying to get
okay.
in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
So Nicole, I don't
Does,
know if you want to officially just, since they're both alternates, is seat them and then
Okay.
we can move forward.
Okay, I'm gonna seat both Michael Connolly and Sharon Dunning, both. Does anyone have a, does everyone like to make a motion at all, just to make sure that's okay?
You don't really need a motion to seat them.
No?
No.
Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Does anyone have any questions for Robert about this petition at all, and anything that we've seen, questions, anything like that?
Nicole, I'll start.
Go ahead, John.
I think it's a noble cause. Hard to argue with that this would be an emergency response team there. The only thing I might have a little bit of pause, and I don't even know if it's in our purview, is there a use limit on that? In other words, if this contract expires or something, can it just be turned into any type of a storage yard with that 6-foot fence? Maybe Eric would know that, or would they have to come back?
Well, it's, it's whatever uses are allowed in the industrial zone.
Mhm.
So whether it has a fence around it or not, the use isn't gonna really change.
the-
And the variance, if granted, would run with the land. So anybody going forward be able to maintain that fence in that location. So,
So it's
if-
not use specific then.
right, so if he if whatever happens 5 years down the road and he goes out and some commercial development goes in there, they may tear the fence down and build a building, so.
Okay.
Thank you. I have a question more so for the applicant about, I don't know if it's even in my purview, just the fence itself on that curb and the area that's gonna just remain lawn. Is there any way of maybe pulling that back and maybe making it some nice landscaping at least, so that at least the people that are across the street, I know there's residents there, it doesn't look so much as just chain link fence with some trucks behind it, and just the grass, maybe the grass in front of the chain link. Maybe we can try to maybe beautify it a little bit. And then the rest looks pretty good. I don't see an issue with the rest. But
I will try to answer that briefly, but I'll also let my client answer that.
of
I
course,
believe that there's plenty of setback that allows for room for him to put shrubbery in there. And also because it's on a corner, I think that there's a cutback from the corner so that people have visibility when they get to the corner of the stop sign, so they can see cars coming from the left or the right, depending on where they're coming from. You want to comment on that, Peter?
No, I have no problem doing it. It's just,
Can you hear him?
yes, I can hear him. Yes. I was just wondering, because you are going into that other front yard setback as well, just for, I don't see what you're exactly, unless you're planning on parking vehicles there in the lawn area.
no, I have no
maybe
problem
just,
doing it. I have no problem doing that.
beautifying it a little bit,
No
because
problem, long as we can, because they're worried about cars seen in the corner. That's that's what they were telling me. But I have no
Yeah.
problem doing that.
I also believe, Nicole, that at some point, the applicant will also be going before TPZ possibly. And that's
Okay.
something that TPZ could look at, some buffering and screening as well,
okay.
just as a thought.
Yeah, I'm just more about I understand the trucks are gonna be there. It's not like they're gonna be running every day, which it shouldn't be an issue, I think, for the residents. More so that they're not just looking at a fence and then the grass is on the other side and there's nothing there. Maybe, pushing it back just a little bit and maybe putting something nice there, at least for them to look at and the site a little bit better, but
Nicole?
Yes, John, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't have the plan in front of me right now, but I remember looking at it and it looked like they pulled that corner back at a 45-degree angle pretty far from the actual corner. So I don't think there'd be any view obstruction or anything like that. And I just wanted to add one more thing, that sometimes me and Eric butt heads about this fencing ordinance. And you know, what is it 2 front yards? I thought they could pick which front yard they want to use. So I'm not even 100% in agreement that he can't put that 6 foot on the long side and call the Francis Avenue side his front yard. So Eric, you remember we've had this debate a few times, and I come down on my interpretation of it is that you get to pick which side you have.
Oh, that's actually a very interesting, I never really thought about that, John.
And I could be totally wrong, or something maybe has changed, but that's how I've interpreted it. I've had other people even ask me how, you know, to interpret it. And so.
In some cases, I mean, the way the surveyor's drawn it up, you know, I don't have a problem with it. Either way, you know, the fence is gonna end up in one of the front yards. So whether it's, he's still gonna need the variance, so. Corner lots do have,
It'd be a
are a
lot
different
easier.
animal.
It'd be a lot easier to swallow on that short side on the Francis Avenue side, if that's an option for them, you know?
Yes, it is. You are correct, John.
But he did
Is
put in the
that-
corner clip more than is required. He only needs a 15-foot clearance there. And both, if you both note, if you noticed in my staff memo, I had both the town engineer go out and look and the legal traffic authority, and neither one of them had any issues with the plan as presented. The only comment was that they just wanted to make sure that the shrubbery was kept down on the Francis Avenue side, and you know, that's in the right of way right now. And the town can come through and cut that as needed once the fence gets up.
Got it. Does the question for really the petitioner more than anything, what Mr. Bashan was saying, giving up one part of that front yard setback a little bit than the other, that corner, pushing it back a little bit.
To make room for the shrubbery?
Well, kind of giving up basically because it's kind of 2 front yards, you kind of almost like choosing one or the other. And the 1 front yard setback is really would never work for you guys, because you would lose just about all of your half your parking spaces. The other one would be pushing back to 1 parking spot, it looks like. And it's only giving away, kind of doing the variance only on 1 front yard setback and part of the rear yard technically, which, yeah. Is that what you were thinking about, John?
Not exactly. No, I'm thinking
Oh,
that he
okay.
doesn't even, if I'm right, and I could be totally off, and Eric would have to chime in, but if I'm right, he doesn't even have to apply for that Day Street side. That's my interpretation of that regulation, that you get to choose which is your front yard if you're on a corner. So
No, you still have 2 front yards.
Yeah, you still-
The zoning requirement is you still have to have those 2 front yard setbacks on a corner lot.
okay,
That's
but you're not allowed to choose which one you're calling your front yard.
They're both called the front yard typically.
Okay.
That's on even on the old plot plans, you'll see it. They're the corner setback, they're both called the front yard.
All right, I'll have to
They
revisit
have
those.
one
regs
side
again.
yard and a rear yard.
You remember that one over on Dartmouth we just talked about like a year ago? But we're not
Vaguely.
gonna, yeah, we don't have to dredge that up now, but I'll review it again myself, but.
All right, John. Any other questions for the petitioner at all, or anything else? Questions, anything?
No.
All right. Sharon, anything?
No, I'm all set.
All right.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Robert. Appreciate it. Okay, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Doesn't look like, or unless, Eric, do you have any letters or anything from any neighbors? I think you had said, did you want to read it or?
Yes, the applicant did provide me with 8 people that signed off that live in the area that have no problem with this variance. So I would say, I guess they would be speaking in favor of the variance.
Okay. Did you want to read one or two of them at all, or?
I mean, I can read one. It's a form letter that they brought around.
Okay,
It says, honorable members of the Newington Zoning Board of Appeals, 200 Garfield Street, Newington, Connecticut, 06111. Pending petition of 249 Day Street for fence height variance. Dear members, I am the owner of property at 249 Day Street. And I am aware of the above mentioned petition for a variance. I understand that Mr. Mirabelli, the owner of 249 Day Street LLC, wants to be able to put up a fence that is 6 feet high around the perimeter of the area and that he wants to use for parking utility repair trucks owned by Eversource. I understand also that the variance he needs is to allow for the fencing on the two front sides of the property to be 6 feet high, which would be 2 feet higher than the zoning regulations allow on the fronts of properties. And the people that signed this were 124 Francis Avenue, 141 Francis Avenue, 17 Day Street, 240 Day Street, 191 Day Street, 137 Francis Avenue, 174 Francis Avenue, and 145 Francis Avenue.
thank you, Eric. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. And as well as the public participation, since there is no one,
There is no one there, correct?
no one. And move to go to the work session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Anyone have anything they want to say about this, how they feel about it?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion myself, if that's okay.
Well, I would have to wait until into new business, Bill, if
Got it.
possible.
Okay.
But if
Sure.
nobody has anything for the work session, we can move along and, go with it.
I would just ask that you guys are okay with the hardship as presented.
Should I make a motion now or no?
If I may, Nicole,
Yeah, go ahead, John.
as I mentioned, I think it's a noble cause. We're gonna have a fleet of repair vehicles in our town. I just do have that little bit of reservation about, what happens in the future, but I guess since we have no control over that, then it's a non-issue. But, if you look over on Fen Road, we just approved a 6-foot fence in a front yard. And it looks fine over there, right? You
That
go
was
by
done a couple of years ago. Yes, John.
Yeah, so I'm leaning towards approval, so.
All right. Any
And-
other,
If I can just, this is Sharon, I mean, the fact that the neighbors have also weighed in and said that they are comfortable with it, I don't see why we would go against that.
thank you, Sharon.
Mhm.
Plus, it's a good benefit for the town.
Right.
Yes, it is.
And
So then why don't we do this? Why don't we, close the work session and move to check the minutes of the previous meeting? If we could just go over those really quick and make a motion to approve them if possible, and then we can move on to possible approval or denial of the applicant. If that works. So, I read the minutes over. I didn't see much of an issue. I'll make a motion to approve them.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? That would be basically, only, Bill, that would be you, only, that would
Yes.
second it.
I'll approve that too.
Sounds good. Let's now, Eric, any communications
I'm
and
voting in
reports?
favor of the approving the minutes.
So we're scheduling some training probably in January for all land use boards and town council members. This is provided by CCM. It's free of charge to the towns. So I'm going to invite all members of the ZBA, whether you're a full member, alternate, the more people there, the better. We're inviting ZBA, conservation, and TPZ and town council. Currently, I believe it's scheduled for January 27th, and it will be in person in town hall at the moment. Obviously, if COVID dictates otherwise, we may have to reschedule it or change it because I don't believe they do that via Zoom. It's always in person. So it's a good opportunity for anybody on land use boards. They go over rules, regulations, stuff like that, how to run the meetings, proper way to take votes, motions, all that kind of good stuff, do's and don'ts, hows and whys. So well, I'll keep you posted and more information as it becomes available. And so just kind of think about that and plan on attending. And we'd love to
Excuse
see
me, Eric,
everyone.
what time would that be?
I
Do you have
believe
an
it's
idea?
I believe it's right now, it's in flux, 6:30, something like that. We're trying to get a little earlier, so it's not late.
Yeah.
So that's the intention
you.
right now. And I'll let you know more as we get closer.
Perfect. And if we do not have a January meeting, whoever can attend, if they could just please let Eric know. I will be attending and it would be greatly appreciated if everyone else, or if you are able to make it. I think it's something, some good knowledge that we would, to make us better in any way.
Absolutely, yep. So,
So Eric, do you mind reading for under new business?
sure.
Then petition?
Yes. This is a time for a
Petition 002106, Robert Ludkin is seeking a variance for the property at 249 Day Street from section 7.4.19B to allow a fence height of 6 feet in the front yard setbacks, where currently 4 feet is allowed.
Thank you, Eric.
I'd like to
Sir.
make a motion to approve the variance.
Okay, Bill, I'm sorry. Would
Okay.
anyone like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, that's John,
Everything.
correct?
Yep, yes.
Okay, perfect. So if we could go around then, I'll do a roll call and I'll just make sure who is voting yes, if so, and if anyone is voting no, if they could just let me know. So Bill Bector,
Yes.
John Bashand,
Yes.
Michael Connolly,
Yes.
Sharon Dunning,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So that is 5 yeses. The variance has been approved, Robert, if you are still there.
We
Just so
are
you
still
know.
here. We thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Robert and Peter, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
It's
Thank you very
Peter.
much.
Yep, perfect. Thank you guys very much.
I'll be sending out the notice probably tomorrow, Robert.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
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 Any old business at all by any chance? I don't think we have anything, or Eric?
No, I know that in the past we had discussed, or you guys had discussed potentially, I believe, inquiring with TPZ about fixing their regulation for mechanicals in the side yards. So
Yes.
we can
Yep.
avoid some of that. I don't know if you have to do something formally. If you feel like you want to do that, I can just kind of create a memo and send it over to TPZ, or next time I see him.
I think that would be
something
great.
you want to do.
What
I
is, what is it now? 10 feet?
It's 10 feet.
And what were we talking about? Going down to 7? I'd say go down to 5 even.
I mean, well, you guys have to decide.
I
So
mean,
I have
that's my
to-
opinion.
I would have to present something that you guys, whether you want to go 3 foot in some kind of screen or 5 foot, it doesn't matter to me. It's what you guys want and what TPZ is going to eventually adopt.
There you go.
I think only about 3 to 4 feet possibly, and that's only for air conditioners. It's not for anything else, because I think 5 feet adding, in addition would not be a good
I've
idea.
also had, just so you guys know, I've had a lot of trouble with generators as well. Same situation. So if you're okay
Yep.
with, yeah,
Generators make more noise for sure. Those air conditioners are almost silent now.
yep.
Right. Do we want to table this, and maybe in January we can go over exactly what we want to do in the language for how we want to address this, if we want to do just air conditioners, if we want to include generators, and exactly how many feet we would like to possibly see that go? As a group?
And sorry to keep interrupting.
No, that's fine.
The other thing that comes up with the generators are the LP tanks as well.
Okay.
So obviously they don't make any noise, but those are the 3 biggest things: are the condensers, the generators, and the LP tanks to service the generators.
Okay.
If they don't have natural gas.
Right, exactly.
Got it.
I think the idea of the screening might be a good idea for the louder equipment. That may be something to consider. And that there's definitely a distinction between an AC unit and a generator for sure. So.
Right, yeah, on the permit, you can tell what it is because they specifically say, whether it's a condenser or a generator.
Mhm.
And for the most part, people just like it in the side yard. Some people have had to have it tuck it around the corner in the back, because they're in an older neighborhood, those houses are right up against the side yard setback. I mean, and the side yard setbacks aren't just there for noise reduction. It's also there to keep, if you have 10 feet between houses, that means you have 20 feet. So in worst case scenario, you can get emergency equipment back there in the event of bigger issues. So.
That's a good point. So I guess we got to think about it a little bit.
Yeah, I think maybe we should think about it and maybe bring it up in the January meeting, possibly or the next meeting that we do have, and maybe go over exacts of what we would like to see.
Right.
In that.
And again, any little things, tweaks you guys think of that most of you have been on ZBA longer than I've been the administrator. So if there's something else that comes to mind, like, hey, why do we always get variances for this? It might be something to at least consider and discuss. And then, we could put a couple items in a memo to TPZ, or maybe it's just the mechanical one. For this year, that's been the biggest one for me. So.
Eric,
right.
I hate to do it, but do you know what other towns are doing? Do you know what the standard is for our closest, nearest, Weathersfield, Rocky Hill?
I do not. I'd have to look.
All right. Anyone else have any input on that? Possibly doing maybe next meeting, or if they would like to talk about it now? All right, perfect. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Anyone second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everyone have a great evening. Thank
Yeah,
you
you
very
too.
much for attending, and have a good holiday.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
You as
You
well.
too.
Merry Bye.
Christmas, everybody.
Take
Bye.
care.
Yes,
Thanks,
indeed.
Eric.
No problem. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Aye.